China refuses to negotiate with the tariffs. Let's see what happens.
China is refusing to negotiate with President Trump on U.S. tariffs. In fact, the nation is taking the trade war to a new height. China is refusing to accept deliveries of Boeing jets. NBC's Janice Mackey-Frayer reports the move would not just be to blow to America's largest exporter, but also to the U.S. economy.
I mean, if you think about it, China has all the product. He doesn't want to negotiate because they have the upper hand. Whoever has the upper hand, they get to have the negotiating power. If I have all the factories, if all your goods are made in China, if I make all your goods and you're saying you're going to tax my goods, I'm going to tax your goods. I'm not going to let you. You need my products. It's going to take years for them to bring it back to the US, bring manufacturing back. And even then, you're paying like $20 an hour for labor, 15 at least. But the other argument is we're switching more to AI. We're switching to robots. Robots are going to do all the manufacturing. So then we're going to need engineers that program the robots, that fix the robots, mechanical engineers. So that's a higher skilled labor that we can pay more for. But then you don't need 100 engineers for 100 robots. You probably need like five, So it's going to be less workers. We'll see what they do.
The world's two largest economies locked in an escalating trade war, with China now hitting back, responding to President Trump's tariffs by targeting U.S. companies, telling Chinese airlines not to order jets from Boeing, America's biggest exporter, according to Bloomberg. President Trump accusing them of reneging on the big Boeing deal of fully committed to aircraft. Overnight, tech giant NVIDIA projecting that U.S. tariffs will cost it a possible $5.5 billion.
They may be just targeting the bigger companies. Like they could pass the cost to us, which like higher price of goods. If they get prices higher, they might pass it on. But their main target is to target these companies. And if they move their price up and the consumer actually pays it, then they pass it on. But if they move their prices up and we don't pay for it, meaning I forgot what's it called. It's like price elasticity. Like some things it can't move. if the price goes too high, the demand will diminish. Meaning some things they're saying like it's not worth buying. If gas goes up the next day, you have to buy it. You have to go to work, you have to drive. But if other things go up in price, let's say luxury products, if they go up in price, some people might say like, "Oh, I don't really need it." If I think it's called inferior goods. Like one of them is something you need. Like when price goes down, people buy more of. Like let's say people make less, they're gonna buy more ramen. But some certain things, like let's say water, you have to buy water. It's a necessity. Necessity versus wants. So most wants are gonna go down. If they raise all the prices on all the products that get tariffs, that means the consumer has to pay them if the company raises the price. If the consumer doesn't pay, then the company has to lower their price. And let's say their margin is $70 of $100. Now their margin might be $50. So the company makes less, which in turn looks bad on a balance sheet. So I don't know. My opinion is the stock is gonna slide a little more.
In dollars. China's also putting export controls on critical rare earths, limiting Hollywood films in the lucrative Chinese market, adding U.S. companies to its unreliable entities list, and threatening to cut off fentanyl talks. Yesterday, the White House press.
Whoa, cut off what? They just say fentanyl?
Hollywood films in the lucrative Chinese market, adding U.S. companies to its unreliable entities list, and threatening to cut off fentanyl talks.
Fentanyl? Fentanyl talks? What does that mean? China supplies China supplies the U.S. with fentanyl.
Yesterday, the White House press secretary reading a statement she said President Trump dictated.
China needs to make a deal with us. We don't have to make a deal with them.
I don't know about that. Where are you gonna get all your goods? Everything that the U.S. is buying is from China. Like, think about it. Amazon. Most of the stuff is from China. Of course, you have some big brands on there that are U.S. made, but other countries make these products. India makes them. Like your shirts, your shoes, everything is from Vietnam, Cambodia, Indonesia. Uh, what else? Like Temu, Alibaba, AliExpress. Temu especially is taken over. They spend billions on marketing. Everyone's using them because everyone wants something cheap. And when you can't get it cheap, what are they gonna do? They're not gonna buy American goods. Even Walmart, like most of their products, it's made in China. You could look at them.
There's no difference between China and any other country except they are much larger.
But neither side seems ready for that deal yet.
Well, much larger, and they have an advantage in manufacturing. How long is it going to take another country to get better with manufacturing, build more factories? Like China already has the infrastructure. You'd rather work with them because it's cheaper. They're already settled. Why would you want? It's like working with a big company versus a small company. If the big company is successful, you want to work with them. They're more reliable, they have cheaper pricing. But the smaller company, they're like, oh, we more customized. Like they'll bend over. They what do you call it? Bend over, head over back, something like that. It's like they'll treat you better. But most people, they want to work with the successful person.
China's leader Xi Jinping is on tour, urging Vietnam to stand up to America's unilateral bullying. And after Vice President J.D. Vance referred to Chinese peasants last week, now a diplomat here saying, quote, those peasants from the U.S. will soon be crying.
Damn.
The pushback feeding economic nationalism and a flood
Was
of
that a
AI
MAGA hat?
here saying, quote, those peasants from the U.S. will soon be crying.
Bro, that's a MAGA hat. And it's made in China. Look at that. Made in China.
Feeding economic nationalism and a flood of AI-generated memes in China.
Oh, that's Trump, bro.
Showing Trump administration officials working factory
That's
production
hilarious.
lines. But beyond the rhetoric, real impact.
Like, come on. America has gone up so far that no one wants to work in manufacturing. Imagine working like on a factory line. Most people, they have pride. They don't want to do that. But in other countries, lower income countries, they have to do that. You're not going to find people here that would work for $2 an hour because you could get any job. You go to Burger King, get a job for like 12, 15.
Consumers feeling it in everything from toys to socks to toothbrushes.
Certain things are so expensive in the US. Like, for example, I was looking at a machine. I went to a conference, expo. Their machine was $52,000. And I tried to find it in China, right? I called a couple people. You know what? Same exact machine. Just that the US one, they have what? Customer service. The Chinese one, same exact machine. Just US one has its branding and customer service. Guess how much that machine costs? It's 50,000 in US, 52,000. In China, it's 15. It's insane.
97% of baby strollers and 87% of car seats sold in the U.S.
Because if you think about it, a machine is not that complicated. It is complicated, like you have to set it up, but once you have the blueprint, once you have the how to make it, it's not that hard. So then it just comes down to manufacturing it. Just make it. You have all the parts, you know where to get them. It's like your first time assembling a toy car. First time it might be hard, but second time it's a lot easier. Third time a lot easier. And at that point the cost just comes down to the price. Or no. The cost, yeah, cost comes down to the materials, like what you need to buy. In China, they have they have a lot of people buying, so economies of scale. They make a lot more and make it a lot cheaper. But the reason the U.S. company charges that much is a machine. Once you buy it, you're not gonna buy another one. There was a TikTok of a farmer. They were like, people were calling this farmer, "Oh, you're traitor. You're buying goods from China instead of U.S." He said the same thing. He said like, I think some machinery costs $3,000 or no $30,000, and he bought it in China because it only cost him seven. It was like a tractor. The tractor in the U.S. cost 30,000, but he bought it from China. It was like seven. He's like, I can't afford to be American. But also the machine. It's like once you buy the machine, you're not gonna buy another one tomorrow. I used to call it like turnover or velocity of money. When they buy this product, how long will it take for them to buy again? When you buy a pot, you're not going to buy another pot tomorrow. It's going to take like, I don't know, 2 to 3 years for them to wear through the pot. It's called durable goods.
Are made in China, effectively the only source of baby goods for parents. This vendor in Yiwu telling us U.S. clients just aren't buying anymore because
Yiwu is like the Silicon Valley of manufacturing in China. It's like you walk down the street, it's factories on factories on factories. They specialize in exports, like global trade. If you can't find what you're looking for, there's a good possibility that this factory knows another factory just down the road. That's why they collaborate and just get bigger.
of tariffs.
And that was Janice Mackey-Frayer reporting. California is fighting.
What does that say? California sues Trump Tariffs Authority. Who's suing who? Like, how does California sue? Someone has to sue. Take responsibility.
Back against President Donald Trump's Tariff Authority. California Governor Gavin Newsom is set to file a lawsuit in federal court suing Trump over his use of emergency powers to enact sweeping global tariffs. The lawsuit argues Trump lacks the authority to enact such sweeping tariffs, saying such action requires congressional approval.
Spending on motor vehicles and parts was up a whopping 5.3% in March from February. That's the strongest monthly pace since January of 2023.
Spending on vehicle parts increased. I'm not sure what that has to do. Oh, okay. I get it. More people are fixing their cars instead of buying new ones. You got to break it down. This is what they're saying. Insurance is also going to go up. Like most people don't know. Once the tariffs hit for vehicles, like foreign vehicles, that goes up. Also, your insurance goes up because the quote that they use to get the parts, like let's say you got $1,500 in damage. Now it maybe costs $2,000. So they got to buy parts for $2,000. They got to raise your insurance premium. You got to pay more now.
Supplies of new and used vehicles for sale are declining rapidly as consumers flock to stores ahead of
new vehicle supplies drop from 91 days to 70 days. I don't know what that means.
Increases due to the tariffs. The day's supply of new vehicles, which is calculated by an estimated daily retail sales rate, dropped from 91 days at the beginning of March to 70 days this month.
What does that even mean?
And the day's supply of pre-owned
supplies of pre-owned dipped to 39 days. How do you okay, this is a new level of economics I don't know about. How do you quantify supply of vehicles by days? Days to sell? Days to get it? Days until you sell out? I have no idea. This is new. I'm glad I'm out of college.
Vehicles declined by 4 days down to 39 days now. Some are concerned that sales numbers will stall once automakers and dealers exhaust their tariff-free inventories.
It's factories like this one in Yiwu, China, that makes hair accessories, a lot of them for export to the US, that are beginning to feel the sting of soaring tariffs, now at least 145% on all Chinese goods. China is still refusing to negotiate with President Trump, and now the retaliation goes beyond tariffs.
Look at all those containers. Apparently, there's hundreds, maybe thousands of containers in China. Definitely thousands that are stuck, that haven't shipped because of the tariffs. I bought certain goods like a couple days ago. I had to cancel them because of the tariffs. I'm unsure what's going to happen.
Telling Chinese airlines to not order jets from Boeing. It's America's biggest exporter. This according to Bloomberg.
Boeing, they had a massive scandal back then. They were like, a nut and bolt costs like $100. One nut and bolt. Or maybe thousands. They just hiked. It was like embezzlement. Someone inside was sending money somewhere else. Kind of like the NASA scandal. I don't want to call it a scandal, but NASA, they were charging like $1,000 for one orange. Let's look it up. $10,000 for an orange. That's insane. Yep, $10,000 for an orange. Resupply launch. They upcharge it and they just say it's necessary. It's like, if you have unlimited money, you could just write off whatever. Like, oh, I need this, and send it to one of your friends. I think that's what happened with Boeing.
China's also putting export controls on critical rare earths. It's limiting
Coal.
Hollywood films in the Chinese market, adding U.S. companies.
I don't know what's the difference between like this coal and the charcoal you get from burning wood. This is mined coal. So like maybe, how does that even work? A tree falls and over 100 years it turns to coal?
Earths, it's limiting
Should be
Hollywood films in the
should be decomposed, but I don't know. I'm actually interested.
Chinese market, adding U.S. companies to its unreliable entities list, and threatening to cut off talks on fentanyl. The White House
Talks
has said
on
that
fentanyl. What does that even mean? Trump used fentanyl to justify tariffs. No way. I didn't know that. Supplies are smuggled to Mexico, made into fentanyl, and then shipped back to the US, smuggled back to the US. I didn't know that.
Trump is adamant that we don't have to make a deal with China. China needs to make a deal with us. But neither side appears ready to make that deal. China's leader Xi Jinping has been on a tour of the region.
It's all about power. Like, they both want to be that guy. In China, this guy is the greatest guy. Everyone has to bow down to him. In America, Trump is not going to say he lost. Trump is not going to say, oh, we took the deal. Like, whoever complies first, whoever takes the deal first, loses. So it's like both of them, they're not trying to make a deal. They're trying to see who cracks first.
Pouring up partnerships and trade deals with Vietnam, Malaysia, and Cambodia. Part of the diplomatic ramp up is allowing economic nationalism
Made in
to
China.
flourish online here, along with a flood
Nationalism, that's what it is. They're both rooting on nationalism, like people that want to be patriots.
Of AI-generated memes showing Trump administration
Didn't they show
officials
this?
working on factory production lines. But beyond the rhetoric, there is real impact for consumers, feeling it in everything from toys to toothbrushes to baby goods. Tariffs do pose a risk for China's economy, too. It's no secret that growth is slowing here. But for now, neither side of this trade showdown
Is she on a green screen? There's no way she's in the factory.
appears willing to budge. Janet Ferrer, NBC News, Yiwu, China.
Oh shit, she's actually there. Alright, so those cheap goods, they're actually tough to sell. You would think like, oh, it sells like hotcakes. But if you don't have a sales channel, it's actually pretty difficult. You just have a bunch of stuff that's made into something already. Like if you have plastic pellets, maybe it's easier to sell because it's not made into anything. But if you make all those plastic pellets into hair clips, into strollers, now you have something already made. You put work into it, that's a cost, and it's just stuck there. What are you going to do? Melt it down? You can't do that. You're just putting more time and effort into deconstructing it and then making it again. But those goods are kind of tough to sell. But yeah, that'll wrap it up for this video. China refuses to comply with Trump's tariffs.